Welcome back, and of course we're into the second hour of Smart Men's Business. It's just 9 minutes past 8 a.m. and today it is a Friday. It is a good day for most people, but anyway, we are proudly brought to you by Zabo. So if you want to invest in bond securities, Zabo says all you need to do is have your mobile phone with you. You don't need to go to long queues. You don't need to hassle with all that. Just dial *292#. That is the USSD code. You can learn about the product, the maturity periods, where you can sell, you can buy, you can look at how much you have in your account. I mean, Zabo has a lot to offer for you, but investment is 15,000. The lowest is 15,000 Ghana shillings. So you could choose to invest 15,000 or more, depending on how much your return in investments, how much you want your return in investments to be like. Because if the maturity periods that means 16, 20 to 20 years, I mean, your returns are quite many. Of course, today being a Friday, Zabo is going to open just in 5 minutes, 8:15 a.m. till 3:15 p.m. Zabo says, my money, my future, and they are powered by Alltech East Africa, telling you to do something new. Well, you know how we love to get you motivated and inspired every day here on Smart Men's Business. I know how the workload can be. We're getting to the end of the month and, you know, probably exhausted, you're overwhelmed. So really, how about we first get motivated before we start this beautiful morning? Well, of course, those that are into business, your most unhappy customers are your learning lessons. So definitely you have to, actually, it could be an importance, could be an advantage once your customer comes in. It's good actually for you to get feedback. You know, it's better than someone going and keeping quiet. You know, I will come and happy of the product that you've given me so that you're going to improve. You know, so it is really good. You accept scrutiny, accept criticism. It's really important for our everyday life. So if you've not done something, it doesn't only apply for those that are into business, even those that are working in different organizations, different companies. You know, you have to be, your boss is going to call you and he's like, you know what, you're behaving A, B, C, and this, you're not doing this and right. You know, allow it, accept to be criticized, and that is the way you're gonna learn. You know, some people are big-headed, they don't want to learn. The moment you say something they did wrong, you know, they're gonna be gloomy the entire day and they're not going to work effectively. But it could be a chance for you to grow. And of course, 20 years from now, you'll be regretting, you'll be disappointed for the things that you did not do. Well, Andrew, I don't know what you think about that, but me, I believe in every season, you cannot anticipate you cannot anticipate that probably in 20 years you're going to regret, because in that moment you're dealing with that very thing at the moment.
Yeah, I agree with that. But you see, I have this perception, you know, about life in most cases. I'm going to say a few things here, but You see, you can never have enough lifetime to accomplish anything on this earth.
Definitely.
That's the
Very
first
different.
place.
Very.
But one thing we need to know is that as beings, we're eternal.
Okay.
That's the first reality. That we exist, we are one with that cosmic consciousness,
Okay.
which put us into that. So, why am I saying this? When you have that perspective, because in that quote actually we had something to do with explore. Get to learn about how really things work, because the reason as to why, because once you get to realize who you are, that you've been here, you have no beginning, you don't have an end. It's going to kind of shape the way you perceive things. I mean, we are talking about, if you look at the nations which are developed, which have the very powerful GDPs, it's because the citizens have actually come to this awakening of who they are. Knowing that if I do something right now, generations to come, because we normally have this selfish mentality as we people. Everything you do, you're doing it for yourself, and sometimes you're like, you don't really mind much what your generations are gonna go through, but you also forget that at some point in time, in your fourth or fifth generation, you're gonna find yourself, you're back on this world. Of course, you may not recall your past lives, but somehow you'll have a glimpse. And now it will be very absurd for you to start in an economy which, if you died and the inflation was 5%, and now you're back in your fourth generation and inflation is at 35%, will you be happy in such a life? So that should determine the decisions that you actually undertake right now. Let's stop looking at life from a myopic view, but view it from the whole. That's what I can say. Only that way we can actually be impactful and do the right decisions, invest in empires which are going to exist for eternity, because we are awakened to that mind, and the world will be a better place. There will be no regret, because you'll never have 50 years, 100 years. It's not enough for you to accomplish anything you really want to accomplish.
Well,
that's what I think.
I believe if I was actually to get disappointed or maybe feel, I think it would be the fact that maybe I didn't get time for family and friends. And it's one of the things I think I would say I would regret.
But you can reconcile that in the next lifetime.
I don't know about that. Maybe there could be a possibility that when I come back, reincarnate. I don't know. You could reincarnate into an animal.
No, that can happen.
Well, of course.
Nature is perfect. It sets balance. The way it sets balance, it's perfect.
Oh. Yeah. Okay, you've had it. So definitely there is chance for you to accomplish the things
you can accomplish anything
in another lifetime.
In another lifetime and on this earth. It's crazy, but I know. But if you get to really get its revelation of it, it will change the way you do things. I can tell you that. Well, now heading back into our topic, we are looking at supply chain disruptions here. And we are looking at the cost of supply chain disruptions to, first of all, the businesses and the consumers.
Yeah.
Because in most cases, supply chain disruptions lead to increased costs.
Yeah,
for example, it could be
prices.
Transportation, and we see these costs are impacted. I mean, the businesses transfer these costs to them, to the consumers.
No, and I can give an example. You remember the time we had the Katonga Bridge that had collapsed? So imagine the people that were coming in, that were transporting goods. So that means, I don't know, I don't remember if the fuel prices were a bit high then. So the longer the distance, the more cost the person is going to incur.
Exactly.
At the end of the day, for you, who is the beans, if you've been thinking the beans at 4,500, everyone wants their cut at the end of the day, from production, from sale, from transport, from then the person you're going to supply the things to, then to the final consumer. At the end of the day, if someone bought beans, a sack of beans at maybe 150, and they expect a cup of beans, dry beans, at 1,500. By the time it gets to the final consumer, me, it's going to be at 5,000. Because at the end of the day, from there has been a chain. With everyone taking their cut. So at the end of the day, they also want their cut. And there are also taxes incurred in there. So definitely, you have to understand that there's a process. By the time you get that thing and you're like, oh my goodness, it's expensive.
I I know.
The process could have been hectic for them as well. So, yeah.
Okay, a very interesting revelations in there. But of course, we also know that the COVID-19 pandemic caused severe disruptions to global supply chains, regional, continental, and globally.
Because I remember China, most people do import from China because there was no movement. There was nothing to be supplied. Or maybe if there were to be supplied, you would get them after like 2 weeks of waiting. So that means there was that. Pandemics, natural calamities, natural disasters really have a huge impact. So imagine it has rained, there is floods everywhere. If you've been waiting for your merchandise to reach you by 8, it's going to happen. It's going to take a full maybe a full day.
A full day.
Get to you. Yeah.
I get you there. No way. Maybe just to recap in here, according to a report here, in 2020, the Uganda Manufacturers Association estimated that the manufacturing sector lost approximately to $5 billion due to the pandemic. Now, this was due to a variety of factors, of course, inclusive of factory closures, shortages of raw materials, and disruptions to transportation. Supply chain disruptions. Now, of course, since we are looking at the East Africa, there was a fire actually at Killeen the port. We're taking a look at real world supply disruptions, because I'm trying to paint for you a picture, in case you're watching, how you can really dissect as an individual what supply chain disruption is, and probably get to understand how it can affect you as a consumer and as a business person, such that in case of an incident similar to that happens, you can actually prepare yourself on how best you can go about it. Now, in 2021, there was a fire at Killeen Port in Mombasa, that is Kenya, and it caused major disruptions between the trade between Uganda and Kenya. Now, this led to shortages of goods in Uganda, and of course, higher prices were inevitable. And the Uganda Chamber of Commerce and Industry estimated that the fire cost businesses in Uganda $100 million. A fire at the port is impacting businesses in the neighboring country, which is us, Uganda, and we are losing $100 million. So you can actually see incidences happen, but it all comes back to the impact, because we are now looking at the cost of supply chain disruption to the consumer and to the business person in this way. Of course, the war in Ukraine, we've seen it in Mali. The impact. We just had a story on Mali, and the price of bread has increased by 50%.
Wow. Interesting. Yeah.
Because bread contains wheat, of which Ukraine is the biggest exporter of wheat. So that means if wheat is scarce and you're relying on bread, that means you're going to find it so hard. So you can really see how those calamities are really causing to that, the costs which are being transferred to the citizens, to the individuals, due to that disruption somewhere in the supply chain. Now, of course, political instability, natural disasters. Of course, a good example is 2019 floods in Uganda, which caused disruptions in transportation and damaged crops. And we've also seen one that happened in eastern Uganda. People's livestock were really put in shambles, just like that. So imagine you are actually relying on that livestock that was destroyed in that way. Like it or not, it will affect you. But of course, later on in the show, we shall be taking a look at, in case such instances happen, because it's also important to know, how do I position myself in case an incident happens, and due to my knowledge, I know this might be a supply chain hindrance. It might cause a leakage in the supply chain, which is going to affect me directly. How do I react? That is also quite important. Of course, we shall be taking a look at that, and of course, we see labor strikes. Where we saw, in 2018, a strike by truck drivers in Uganda. All those. I remember once the truck drivers riot, they transport these goods from the borders, taking them to these other places. What do you really anticipate?
I remember it took like a week.
Quite a
week. And of course, we also see factors of labor shortages. When you're understaffed, production is a bit low.
Absolutely.
So it's also causing in the there's also a hindrance in the chain supply chain production. So yeah, all those, we have port congestion, we have the war in Ukraine, then we have also semiconductor shortages because these are used in different electronics. Cars, appliances. So if there is a shortage of that, definitely we're going to have less imports of these products coming in. Maybe even taking longer, given the fact that they do not have the required materials to produce. Yeah.
Okay, absolutely amazing. Well, that is it for this discussion for now. 24 minutes past 8. Smart Means Business. Andrew Marija Masi Katsuma will definitely taking you through all the way. It's a Friday, it's the 20th, that is of October. And of course, we heading into the weekend, the time to really put ourselves together, ponder on what happened in the previous week and how to make it much more better. And in case you were able to obtain success in this week, you have to see how still you can make it more success. How can you double that success? But of course, still to remind you that all these discussions probably brought to you by Zabo, which is a platform from Maltex East Africa through which you can actually buy government bond and securities for a fee of just 15,000 Ugandan shillings. Yes, the markets are already in operation. 10 minutes ago, that's when the markets were in operation. And now they will be running up to 3:15 p.m. That is East African time, and this is effective Monday up to Friday. Apart from the weekends and the public holidays when these markets are out of reach, but that's not the big deal. At least you have the rest of the days to capitalize and make money. That's something which I believe it's quite key and important when it comes to your financial growth and development as an individual. So Zabo is a reality for you. You can really participate and your life will definitely will have an impact the positive way. And that's why Zabo confidently comes out and tells you that it's my money, it's my future. And also East Africa still tells you that you need to do something new for yourself. Remember, it is 2023. At 26 minutes past 8, we'll take a break. And business and entertainment and sports coming up.